Tonight's very special edition of the Sunday Night Talk with me, Patrick Ramirez, and Omar Carmona is up and ready, and it is brought to you by Pure Energy. That's what we have this week. Pure Energy. The season is over. The playoffs are here. Wow. Me and Omar discuss. Hey, this is a special episode because not only do we talk football, we talk our playoff predictions, we get into it, but this week, we introduce, along with the football playoffs, our very own football movie playoffs. That's right. There is a football movie bracket on all my pages. You can go check it out and vote for your winners and losers of round one, which is going to happen this weekend, just with the wild card. So we explain what the bracket is. We go into our thoughts on the football movies, and it's going to be fun because there's a lot of stuff to discuss here. But in the NFL, we finally figure stuff out. We have closure. And as I call it, it's graduation day in the NFL. Some teams are moving on. Some teams are staying put. And some teams have to repeat the year. So we find out what's what. We talk about it. What a fun NFL regular season. There were some speed bumps along the way. Okay, that's fine. No one gets out without some scars, right? But we're here. And we're talking football. But we're also talking life. It's the Sunday Night Talk. You need it for the rest of your week. Here we go. Week 17. Me and Omar. All right, we are back. It's Sunday night. Omar on the screen. It's the last week of the NFL. How are you, man? Happy New Year.
I'm toasting Happy New Year. I'm toasting. It's week 17. You know, what a crazy year it was given the COVID, given the pandemic. But you know what? We made it to week 17 and it looks like we're okay for playoffs. So I'm gonna pour a nice scotch and drink to that.
Yeah. A couple of thoughts I had going into week 17. This might be my favorite week in the NFL. Is the last week of the regular season because playoffs are on the line. Who's going to get in? Who's going to get out? Who's playing for pride?
What team? Who's playing for draft positions? Who's playing for draft
positions? Right. So I was always a believer in the conference championship week was my favorite week in the NFL. This might have to do with the fact that Fox had this great montage in their pregame. And I was like, you know what? The last week of the NFL is pretty damn exciting. And I'm thinking of it like, it's like graduation day. Some kids are moving on. Some kids are going absolutely nowhere. Everybody's still excited that it's coming to an end. So graduation day in the NFL. And now we know about 90% of the playoff picture too.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. We're a few minutes away from finding out the right now Washington football team leading the Philadelphia Eagles. What is it, 20-14? There's still some time left, but it is a great week. Especially, I think we got to be more appreciative this year because we didn't know if we'd make it this far, you know. And but it seems like every team, and I think Goodell did a great job preparing the league for what was going to come. The protocols that were installed. You know, I was listening today during the Cowboys-Giants game. There was a questionable penalty flag that went the Giants' favor, and I guess whoever's working on the audio prepared the yays. You know, it sounded like a stadium full of people cheering, but there was nobody in the stadium. So you know, it was definitely a year where everyone had to make some adjustments.
Yeah, we definitely some speed bumps. It wasn't all smooth sailing. We had players sitting out. We had no fans, but ultimately, I would not call this season any sort of footnote or asterisk. Kind of the NBA, I think, is going to be looked as. I think we're going to have a footnote for the NBA for this last playoffs. But this NFL season has gone, call it 80% normal. So kudos to that. I know it was a bumpy road, but everybody who talks shit on the NFL, we all watch it and consume it. So we're all hypocrites if we make fun of the NFL. So let's give them a little. I'll give them a pat on the back. We haven't had playoffs yet, but I'll give them a pat on the back. It's 7:59 West Coast time. We're recording this. The Sunday night game is not over yet, so we don't know NFC East champion yet.
No. We'll be I mean, not so much updating because by the time people hear it, the game's already over. But we'll definitely talk about the whoever comes out, either the Giants or the Washington football team. We'll definitely start talking about their game. But let's get to it. There's a lot to go over, like you said. Very busy week.
Yeah. Let me start by saying this. I watched a little college football earlier this week. I watched the 2 playoff games.
I did too. Surprisingly.
Yeah. They weren't great games, but there was good build up to it. And you know how we were going to write a book a few weeks ago, why we hate sports because it makes you feel old. Here's an addition to that book now. I'm watching the game and they keep saying this name. They keep saying Patrick Surtain with a great hit, Patrick Surtain with the great coverage. And I'm thinking, that name sounds familiar.
His dad played.
Yeah, then I'm putting together, I'm like, he played in No, it was NFL. Well, he wouldn't be in. Holy shit, that's his son.
Yeah.
His son in college football. I'm like, all right, chalk this up to how sports make you feel old now.
No, yeah, that's what it is. Patrick Surtain, the great defensive back, and I think very underrated defensive back. He was really good out of played with the Miami Dolphins for a number of years. And yeah, it's crazy to me that now his son is the top DB probably in the country for on the top team in the country. And real quick, I want to go into let's do a prediction real quick. I'm going to go Bama, and it's going to be a close game. I like Ohio State's is going to be a tough out, but I do like Bama.
Yeah, I'm watching it. And I'm like, not only have I gone through a whole player's career, I'm starting the offspring's career of players I followed now. It's right up there when someone complains about their age and then they tell you how old they are and you find out they're younger than you.
Right.
So put that in our chapter of why we hate sports because it makes you feel old. What were going into week 17? What were the big storylines for you?
Oh, I mean, it's so weird that how does the most mediocre division in the NFL become the biggest storyline on week 17?
Yeah, how about them flexing this game to the Sunday night game?
Right. We are for sure going to have whatever happens. It's either going to be a 6-10 division champ in the Giants or a 7-9 division champ in the Washington football team. How is this the most intriguing part of the week? But that's what we got here. Even the Cowboys had a shot this morning.
Yeah, I watched some of that Cowboy game too, and I was excited. Same thing. I'm like, oh yeah, these aren't great teams, but there is something on the line here. Someone had a good line at the beginning of the Cowboys game, and it said, these teams started out rough at 3-9, and they persevered to 6-9. So
right.
We got to look at things with some sort of perspective this year, I guess.
I will say this. Let's talk about this. The Cowboys did not come to play today. They had, I thought, every chance in the world. I'm sorry. I don't think Andy Dalton is the answer, even at backup. I thought he really disappointed today. When you got 3 wide receivers and Amari Cooper, Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, you can open things up, and it just seems like they couldn't. And I don't necessarily think it was because of any, offensive game plan constraint. I mean, I think the game plan constraints were there because of Andy Dalton. So I think that they're going to be in the hunt for a backup quarterback in the event that Dak goes down, because I do believe the Cowboys will bring back Dak Prescott.
That game started so slow too. There was so little offense well into the second quarter. But I really liked the angle that Jason Garrett could knock out the Dallas Cowboys yet again from the playoffs somehow. I love that the offensive coordinator, Jason Garrett, got the last laugh on this one.
Right. And he did. And so Obviously, again, Jason Garrett came and shot Dallas in the foot.
Yeah, and really almost by the end of it, the Giants almost tried to give away the game again by fumbling it late in the game. I don't know if you saw that fumble, but the guy strips himself
Right.
with the ball and somehow, I have no idea how, somehow recovers his own fumble. I was a little surprised that they put their A guys, Aikman and Joe Buck on the game.
Right.
So they
Right.
put a lot into this game. Aikman had a funny line in it. There was a time when um, Daniel Jones throws up a bullet and it kind of catches the receiver off guard and it gets on him really quick and he snags the ball and he goes to the ground. And Troy Aikman is not a funny guy, but sometimes he says funny stuff and he's watching the replay of the guy catching the ball against his face and he goes, "Ball attacks man, news at 11." And Joe Buck starts laughing his head off. It was great. Joe Buck goes out of character for a little bit
Right.
from Troy Aikman's dry humor. I thought that was great.
That was great. That was great.
Yeah.
But that was a big storyline. And obviously Dallas didn't come and show, they did not play well. And for some strange reason, we have right now a 6-10 team. And now it's not looking so good right now because Washington has the ball back late in the game. But we have a situation where a 6-10 team still has hope at this hour on the last Sunday of the season. But that's the NFC. That's the NFC least. In the other divisions, we'll start with the NFC West. My team's division, obviously, my 49ers were out of the conversation. They also lost today to the Seahawks. The Seahawks and Rams are both going to the playoffs. You know what? They're both tough teams, and I think they have their teams that can be brilliant, but at the same time, then they can throw up some stinkers too.
Yeah,
But
definitely. There's a broad range of talent. Well, my question is, did the right teams make the playoffs?
you know what? I think so. I think so. I think every team uh, deserves to be there, for the exception of the NFC East. Whoever comes out of the NFC East has to host Tom Brady and the
Right.
Buccaneers, and I think that the Buccaneers will be the overwhelming favorite, whichever team comes out of that. But the Rams will actually play the Seahawks, and I'm going to go with Russell Wilson beating the Rams in Seattle.
So you like all the playoff teams? They all deserve to be there, you think? The Rams were horrible all year. And the Bears are the other one. The two teams that really coasted into a playoff spot this year were the only kind of weird ones to me. Somehow the Bears lost today, looked terrible, and still got into the playoffs.
Yeah, but you know what? But who else would have? Who could have replaced that? I mean,
Yeah,
I would think.
Arizona would have had to have won, and they looked bad. I mean, and then when I watched that Arizona game, their season is on the line, and Kyler Murray has kind of a light enough injury that he's kind of dancing on the sideline. He's trying to run it off, and he can't get in the game.
No, he
And
can't.
you're thinking like, oh my God, put him in there. Let him try. Eventually they do, but it's too late. That had to be just terribly frustrating.
Right, right. I'm with you. And again, I think the future is very bright in Arizona. But right now, it's obviously the Rams and Seahawks are moving on. But look at the other teams. I mean, the Falcons. That's the biggest mystery. I mean, probably the worst team in NFL history.
Yeah.
They're a good bad team. And you got player teams like the Lions, the Vikings that started dead, but they came on strong, and then they kind of fizzled out at the end of the year. That was a roller coaster season for the Vikings. But moving on, I think the right teams made it. I will say this: I'm looking at the NFC bracket, and I don't think anybody wants to play the Buccaneers right now. Now, here's an issue. We don't know. We don't have much information now, but with Mike Evans hurt, that is a huge weapon that Tom Brady doesn't have. And people are going to say, oh, but he's got, Tom Brady's got Gronk and Antonio Brown and Godwin and a lot of great. Yes, that's true. But ever stop and think that maybe they're so great because people focus on Mike Evans?
Yeah.
He's a great receiver.
Yeah. Best
So
case scenario, Tampa Bay is going to play one of these bad NFC East teams,
And
and maybe
they'll get an easy win. I think it's going to be an
yeah,
easy win.
they can get a win not being full strength and then have them back as well. So that could be very possible. So the playoffs are upon us. What I had this thought. We've been talking about how to properly tank the season so you can get a good draft pick because the worst team gets the first draft pick.
And the Jets didn't know how to do it.
The Jets could not even achieve that. But I was thinking, why are we rewarding incompetence? You know, the best college every year gets their pick of recruits, whether they won or lost. So why not take the bottom teams, say the bottom 10, and whatever is the best of the bottom 10, you get the first draft pick. Then you can go back in descending order after that.
That'd be good.
Right. I don't know why we're rewarding them for being terrible.
And also we in my opinion, for the most part, we set that top pick up for failure. A la Sam Darnold.
My God. Go through the names. A lot of failure.
You put a great guy with a ton of potential. The ceiling is so high. And all of a sudden that guy ends up with a terrible franchise. And I'm saying franchise. I'm not saying offensive game plan. I'm not saying, I'm saying a franchise in general with no direction like the Jets have demonstrated. Yeah. And he suffered,
Yeah, what if you were the best high school recruit and then when you went to college, you went to the 32nd best college because they get to pick you first? That would be a recipe for disaster. Someone had an idea on another show where you take the two worst teams and they have to play each other and whoever wins gets the first pick. And he was calling it the Loser Bowl. And you have it the week before the Super Bowl. I'd be down for that. I think that'd be pretty funny. So yeah, maybe we flip the draft order every now and again, just so you just don't start losing for the sake of losing to get a draft pick. And I like the NBA does the lottery, which is good, but why not add a little spice to it? Why not just add something to it where you're rewarded for being best of the worst, essentially?
Right.
Something there. Just so it's not such a bummer that you go to a bad team every year. Players have it took like 20 years, but once the player gets drafted, they don't smile as much as they used to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I'm on the Jets now. I'm on the Browns now. Yeah. So maybe if we ever get to talk to Goodell, maybe we can tell him about our reverse draft order idea.
So, you and I have talked about maybe like the answer is maybe the lottery. Maybe you have no idea, what you're going to get. That year, the Orlando Magic missed the playoffs by a game and then they end up with the number one pick. And then now
2 years in a row. That's right.
Yeah. So that solidifies them. So I think we should talk about that. But anyway,
spice it up a little bit.
Yeah, let's make it interesting. But let's moving on. The Buffalo Bills destroyed the Miami Dolphins, a game the Dolphins had to win to make the playoffs. Obviously, it hurts them that Fitzmagic is not playing. But guess what? The Bills are that good, and I think if there's one team in the NFL right now that I think could give the Chiefs a problem, it's the Buffalo Bills. And I've been high on Josh Allen all year.
Yeah, well, we'll get to our playoff dreams in a moment. But yeah, now we got to think of the number one seeds, Green Bay and KC. Who do they not want to play? Who could give them the best competition? Because I will agree, they are clearly the best in the league. Right. Green Bay steamrolled today. KC was on cruise control the whole game. They lost, and we didn't even bat an eye. So yeah, who can give them the hardest sort of matchup? Buffalo for KC, I think, is a good matchup. And then for Green Bay, or for the NFC, you see, who could give them a good game? I feel like Tampa Bay's got to be in the conversation. And
Tampa Bay destroyed Green Bay when they played.
That's true. So maybe that could be a fun matchup if they sort of go head to head. I'd like to see that. I'm already pumped up for a Brady run. If Brady makes another playoff run, we're going to have a lot of added storylines this year.
Oh, that's all we're going to be talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, because Brady, for the most part, is laid pretty low this season.
Right.
Not a lot of like offensive storylines, not a lot of breakout games. He just played well, winning games. Tampa Bay just winning. So, yeah, that could definitely be something.
Yep.
And then, like you said, on the AFC side, Buffalo. How do you feel about Pittsburgh essentially being asleep for the last 3 weeks?
Winning the division, and then Cleveland needs a win. They get their win, but then they got to play each other again, a back-to-back game, week
Yeah.
17 and round one of the playoffs.
I
You
never
know,
like these games. I never like them when they finish the regular season and they have to play each other again.
I'll be honest with you. I did not see a huge difference in the way they play. And people are going to hate me for this, but the way Pittsburgh played with Mason Rudolph and the way they've had Ben Roethlisberger these last few weeks, I didn't see too much difference in the way they play. I'm not saying Mason Rudolph is better than Ben Roethlisberger. Don't put any words in my mouth, okay? But I'm just saying I think that this Steelers team is in trouble, and I'm actually going to be pulling for the Cleveland Browns to go into Pittsburgh and get a win.
Yeah, I don't like the Pittsburgh Steelers at all now. It's hard to remember they were like 10-0. Someone had a good
11-0. They made 11. This is the
11
worst
and
11-0 team in history.
0. We had the best worst team in history in the Atlanta Falcons, and we have the worst best team in history. They should play each other for God knows what. Someone made a good point. Ben Roethlisberger is coasting into a Hall of Fame career.
He's
And you're
got
like,
it. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
And what is he? He's won two
Two.
Super Bowls.
Two Super Bowls.
Not overly impressive Super Bowls. And he's had a fine career, a long career. And yet we still sort of doubt him in the playoffs.
Right.
So I thought whoever brought up that point, I was like, that's true. He's coasting into the Hall of Fame. I don't think anybody's ever done that before.
Right. That is true. It's very true. And speaking of other quarterbacks that are going to go for their legacy, Drew Brees gets a win in Carolina today, 33-7. They lose Kamara, and they have to put a wide receiver in Ty Montgomery at running back, and he runs for 105 yards. That's insane. And now, like, you gotta, if you're an NFC team, you gotta be wondering what the hell's gonna happen out of New Orleans. What can they possibly do?
They're the opposite of the Steelers.
Right. I mean,
they're winning late in the season. Steelers
they're winning late. They look good, and so I think New Orleans, to me, is the biggest question mark, because there are days that they look brilliant. I mean, when they look, and I realize that the last, was it 2-3 years, Sean Payton has a legitimate grievance with the NFL as the way the games are officiated and the way it costs them a playoff game. But I think that New Orleans is another scary team. Now, everyone's, the benchmark has to be, can you beat the Chiefs? That's going to be for the AFC. That's going to be for the NFC, because this is the Chiefs' Super Bowl to lose, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But that's another fascinating team. My legitimate threats to beat the Chiefs are going to be the Bills, the Packers, and the Saints.
Okay, I like that. I got a quick playoff quiz for you. I'm going to give you a title. You give me the team.
Okay.
Who's the nobody believes in us team?
Great question. And you gotta stop short.
Yeah. Should we just eliminate all the
NFC? You can't say an NFC East team because nobody.
They're not. They don't belong in any of these questions.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna say nobody really believes in the Browns right now, and they can put up some points. So we're gonna see what the Browns can do. But
okay,
nobody believing in them right now.
Cleveland Browns. I'm gonna go. Nobody believes in us. I'm gonna go the Rams. Nobody believes in the Rams because nobody should believe in the Rams. They stink.
There you go. Nobody should.
Okay, who's the most dangerous of the playoff teams?
I, I know it's so hard to say. You're saying it's a 2 seed, and you're saying dangerous. Well, yeah, 2 seeds should be dangerous because they won a lot of games. But I'm saying dangerous when it comes to talking about the Chiefs. I think the Buffalo Bills are the most dangerous of the Chiefs, and again, the
All right.
benchmark has to be the Kansas City Chiefs right now. They're
Okay.
they're the returning champs. They basically ran the table for the exception of that Raiders, which it looks like seems to be some sort of brain fart on the part
Yeah.
of the Chiefs.
We
Because
should have ended the season right then.
yeah, I agree. I think that you
We should have protested or
I
something.
think you as a Raiders fan should have sent a petition in saying that just by that win, the Raiders deserved at least a playoff spot, the
That should have
seventh
been,
seed.
yeah, that should have been worth a win and a half.
Right. Um,
Yeah.
but I think the most dangerous team is Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. I really do.
I gotta agree. I gotta agree with that. They're the most dangerous. All right. How about who is the one more run team? Like we're taking one more run at these playoffs. The one more run team. Who do you got?
It's gotta be. I want to go run more run A, one more run B. It's got to be the Saints and Packers. They have two
Yeah.
aging quarterbacks here, and and they've battled. Now I gotta hand it to the Saints. Michael Thomas, their top receiver, who set the record for most receptions last year in the NFL history. He's out this year. Basically, he only played in a handful of games, and they're still in the mix, and Drew Brees isn't throwing for 400 yards like he used to, and 6 touchdown passes. They're finding other ways to win. On the other hand, you got Aaron Rodgers that basically, aside from Devontae Adams, and I know you got Valdez Scantling and all these other guys, but Lazard, it's a different, they basically need to be perfect to win a football game, you know? And so I think at some point that runs out. And I think for both the Saints and the Packers, this is it for them. If they can't get it with these aging quarterbacks, and as much respect as I have for them, they have to start thinking of what are we going to do to either, and I'm not saying rebuild, but we have to reload.
I think this is a great old QB playoff list. I'm just looking at it. We got Aaron
Brady,
Rodgers,
Brady,
Brady,
Breeze,
Tannehill, Breeze,
right?
Roethlisberger, Rivers. This is a good like fifth year senior
There's
playoffs we got going here.
there's some aging vets here, and then you got the new guy,
Russell Wilson, sort of in the gray
sort of
area. He's
in that,
not old, he's
but
not young.
but he's been there before. You know what I mean? He's
Been
been in
there.
the trenches. He's won a Super Bowl. So
Russell Wilson may be one of these dudes that's indeterminate age for all we know. Like he may just never
maybe
look old.
look against my 49ers team again, not a healthy Niners team, but the fact that still with his legs, he there were 2 touchdown passes he threw that was just because of his legs. Any other quarterback would have been sacked, but he made a play and got the win. So I like Russell Wilson.
How about this last one? Who's the legacy hire? Who's here just because of a name? Should not be here, just grandfathered in
Are we
playoff
talking
team.
playoffs teams or?
Yeah, this is the legacy hire.
Okay.
Your dad went to the college, so you can go to the college team. I'm
Okay,
giving it to
because I would
Chicago
normally
myself.
say the legacy hire of the year or the last few years has been John Gruden. What I think people don't realize is basically John Gruden picked up Tony Dungy's football team. I think that was Tony Dungy's Super Bowl team. When we talk about Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, that 2002 Buccaneers team, you know that's huge. When you got building blocks like that. And I got Washington a final. Washington will be playing The Tampa Bay Buccaneers next week. They are the 2020 NFC East champion.
Do
And
they even make T-shirts and hats for this NFC champion?
I don't think it doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like it. I don't think I would have spent the money if you're an owner of a team and it's about dollars and cents. I would not have purchased T-shirts.
By rule, you can make the NFC championship hat or a conference championship hat, but you have to put your record on it. Make all the hats you want, but your record's going on there. So 11-4, great. 6-9, still got to put it on there.
Yep, I'm with you, and so they're not going to do that. But like I was saying, what were we talking about right now, dog?
My question was, I don't know how
the grandfather hire. I don't know. I think.
Well, I was asking playoff team, but you took it in another direction here.
Yeah, I went against John Gruden, and then I want to go to Mike McCarthy. I don't think he belongs there. But as far as this group of playoff teams, I really can't think of one. I think that I think the right teams made the playoffs, and I think the right coaches. I think the coaches did a great job given the pandemic, it seems like, and these are the most disciplined teams of the league. You know what I mean? Like, we're seeing something where the undisciplined teams that screwed around, the Washington football team had a player that screwed around, and guess what? They got rid of him like they should have. And so I think the right teams stayed.
You should have bought my book of strip club etiquette.
Well, tell me.
He could be playing.
What's your strip club etiquette? Let's
go. Obviously the strip club etiquette is don't take pictures of yourself in the strip club.
That's a great rule. That's a great rule, Pat.
That's an easy rule. So it's a young man's faux pas that he made. That's inexperience. But you know how they have the rookie symposium for all the rookies that come in there.
I like it because where Chris Carter comes in and tells them how high he got before games. Yeah, I've heard about this.
It's the old veterans try and tell them like, hey, be careful with your money. Don't go partying for it. But along with the rookie symposium should be strip club etiquette. It's like, all right, no phones in the strip club. Just go weeknights only. Don't go on the weekends. That should be imposed, because if the Washington guy had adhered to my strip club etiquette rules,
right,
he could be playing at least complete his contract.
Right, I agree with you.
My strip club etiquette book, yeah.
I'm with you.
Well, look, Tampa Bay is going to play Washington. Now we know all the playoffs. And now, let's see, did I leave anything out? Yeah, Philly went for it on 4th and goal in the third quarter. That was odd. Teams go for it on 4th down too much.
Okay, yeah, agreed.
Yeah, well, they lost. And, okay, let's skip. All right, we got through Sunday night. We got through our storylines. But along with the playoffs, we made our own football movie bracket to go along with these playoffs.
We did.
We talk a lot of football movies, but we never really ranked them. And we never really put them into any sort of competition. So the football movie bracket is up. And let's see. And I want to hear your thoughts on, I got some number 1 seeds, and there's some movies that got left off the bracket as well.
Let's start with those. Let's start with the teams that got left off.
Okay, here's what I got for left off. Tell me if you think there's any other ones.
Because I have some. I saw your bracket. I will say I admitted I gave that. You had the discretion here. There's one movie I'd like to see off. So let me see who you left.
You have one movie that you don't want on the bracket.
I don't want on, but let me. And I'm not going to tell you who. But let me see who you left off.
Okay, here's who I left off. The movie Lucas. Draft Day did not make the bracket.
Okay.
Silver Linings Playbook. The Game Plan. Invincible. Wildcats. And Johnny Be Good. Okay.
Wildcats and Invincible should have been in consideration over, and you obviously are going to disagree with me. The Last Boy Scout. That was not a football movie. No.
Yeah, that one came out of a weak division. That one came out of sort of the Mountain West division, and I think cleaned up over competition, whereas Invincible was like in the ACC and just couldn't get the on the bubble spot.
I'm with you, but you know what? I just still think that it was really just one play. I mean, it was one scene that made it a football movie, but it
Right.
was
It
really a
definitely
cop.
definitely
It was
goes
a
in the
cop
category
movie.
of non-football football movies.
I would have liked to have seen Invincible. I think the Papali story and Wahlberg did a great job. I think I would have liked to have seen them, but your
Okay.
bracket, your call. But I guess we're gonna say that's the NIT
Mm.
and we'll say at the end
Could have an IT bracket. You're right.
if Invincible would how they would do against. I do have an odds-on favorite for that this football bracket, but let's go with the bracket. What do you got?
Okay, on to the bracket. Our number one seeds for the bracket. Number one seeds in the came up with the title before the movie region.
Okay,
Number one seed is the movie Rudy.
that's true.
Okay. In the old guy gives it one more shot region, number one seed, Any Given Sunday.
Okay,
In the MTV region, number one seed, Varsity Blues.
okay.
And finally, in the underdog region, number one seed, Brian Song.
And that to me, I'm agreeing with you on the number one seeds, but I think you got to tell everybody that your number two seed, I think in that bracket with Brian Song was Remember the Titans.
Um, in that bracket, the number two seed is Friday Night Lights going up against the number three seed, Remember the Titans.
Okay, I think that this must be the strongest.
Oh, that's true. What's the strongest division here?
It's this one. This is what you say in the World Cup in soccer. This is the group of death. I mean, these guys. This is a stacked. I mean, I think you basically put possibly three number one seeds in the same bracket.
In the underdog region?
Yeah, I mean, even though it's an underdog region, and that's what makes football movies so. That's what makes football movies so great is the underdog aspect. But hey, well, let's go with the matchups. But I have plenty to say about your this.
What here's the criteria for judging the matchups as well. I'm gonna put it out to people to vote and write like in their comments who should win each matchup. But here's how I would base my decisions. You got critic score or Rotten Tomatoes score, say, star power of who's in the movie,
Okay.
memorable quotes, and then how important the actual game of football is to the story of the movie.
Okay.
Those are sort of my criteria when I look at a football movie. So
I hear you.
let's go through the regions. In the underdog region, which you've deemed the strongest region of the bracket, number one, Brian Song goes up against the number 4 seed, The Replacements.
Again,
Did you ever see The Replacements?
That I love that movie, and that is definitely an under. Again, in any other region, I think The Replacements would be higher. It didn't. I don't think it scored so hot in the box office. Obviously, Brian Song, sentimentally, the story of Brian Piccolo and Gail Sayers. I mean, how are you going to argue against that? That is a blowout.
It's a tough number one.
As great as as great as that that number 4 seed is, that's an easy call. Brian Song wins that one easily.
You think they're going to win that one? Let's see. Brian Song got, let me see on Rotten Tomatoes. Hold on. It's up there. I think they were the highest Rotten Tomatoes of all the movies. And then The Replacements is pretty low. It's an odd movie, The Replacements, because you got Gene Hackman, who number one doesn't even do a lot of movies, and yet he's in this movie. And then you have Keanu Reeves coming off of The Matrix, by the way.
Right.
And he's in The Replacements, and it's a story about the NFL strike, but it's not really about that. It's sort of a story just along the lines of an NFL strike.
And from a dude's perspective, Replacements had some hot chicks. That cheerleading squad was.
Oh, good point.
was phenomenal for us guys, and Brian
We need
Song,
to factor in hot chick factor to these football
and
movies too.
obviously Brian Song did not have
Did
any hot
not have hot
chicks.
chicks. You're right.
Okay, but still, Brian Song, an easy win for Brian Song.
You think Brian Song? All right. Well, we'll see how the people vote. The replacement's 41% on Rotten Tomatoes. Here's the number 2 versus number 3 matchup. Friday Night Lights, number 2 versus number 3. Remember the Titans. That one, you say that one's easy. I think that's a tough call.
It's a tough call. But in any other year, this could be, in any other bracket, this could be the national title game right here. You know what I mean?
Friday Night Lights is really a really good movie. I do agree. And also maybe I have a little Texas bias, but it's a great Texas football.
But I'm gonna go with a slew of characters. Friday Night Lights had some different characters, but bottom line, they're all from the same working class Midland, Odessa area. Permian, phenomenal.
Right, they were Permian, story. Right?
The but they were basically they were all the same kids. This story, I Remember the Titans. We're talking white, black during the civil rights movement. I don't think there is any competition now, given the gravity of the social issues that were going on with Remember the Titans. So I'm going to say another easy win, although Friday Night Lights matches up with every other movie. They can go toe to toe, but I'm saying when you play Remember the Titans, it's such a tall task for me. Remember the Titans, the 3 seed should come out of that.
Remember the Titans, 73% on Rotten Tomatoes. I wonder if there's a little Disney movie backlash for that score, because it's a pretty good movie. There's nothing wrong with the movie at all. That's the underdog region. All right, the other region, old guy gives it one more shot region. This one's my favorite region, I have to say. Number 1, Any Given Sunday versus number 4, North Dallas 40. Fun movie, North Dallas 40, but I don't think it stands up to Any Given Sunday. Too many memorable quotes. Too many memorable quotes in Any Given Sunday.
North Dallas 40, a great entertaining movie. But again, Any Given Sunday, Willie Beeman, that
so good.
That was so good. The fact that Lawrence Taylor was able to play and Lawrence Taylor in his post New York Giants career, he tried WWF wrestling. He did all this other stuff, but his role in Any Given Sunday was brilliant. I love Any Given Sunday on this matchup.
Number 2 versus number 3 matchup. Number 2, The Waterboy versus number 3, The Longest Yard. I think the Waterboy is going to win this just based off of popularity, but I don't know.
My question to you, the Longest Yard, was this the older version?
Yeah, I went with the original. This is
I figured the original. I'm still going to go
79% on Rotten Tomatoes. The Longest
I'm still going to say that it's real hard to make a pure comedy out of football. Okay, because when the true football movies have to be about overcoming adversity, and not that Bobby Boucher didn't ever overcome adversity, but to make a comedy out of it, I'm going to say that it was a brilliant football movie. I'm going to go with Bobby Boucher and The Waterboy, Adam Sandler.
Yeah, I would bet people are going to vote that in. I mean, think of this. 4 words. You can do it. We've been still saying that to this day, years and years on.
To this day, absolutely.
Memorable quotes. The other region, came up with the title before the story region. You got number 1, Rudy versus number 4 seed, Necessary Roughness. And as you know, Necessary Roughness is my favorite football movie. I don't think it stands up to Rudy.
No, it doesn't. Like you say, it's if I'm ever flicking around the TV stations and I see Necessary Roughness, I'm dropping everything. I'm gonna watch Necessary Roughness.
Right. All Necessary Roughness is a good football movie because it has all the football movie tropes.
Absolutely.
That's why I think it works. It's got the aging quarterback. It's got a sassy black guy. You got to have that.
They had a hot kicker. Kathy Ireland was the hot kicker.
Then they have a girl on their team. That's another football trope. you have the by the book coach, and in my favorite, you have the guy who's super fast and can't catch.
And
That's
that
my
and that's always there. That's
that's
always
my
there.
favorite football movie trope, and this movie has them all. So that's the number
And then they
one.
had that preppy the dad's the booster. Was it Jason Bateman's
Right,
character?
that's true. They had the
You know,
legacy hire.
is a leg. He's the he's the guy that's on the team only because his dad and he wants to leave the team and Paul Blake picks him up. On the road.
That's right. That's right.
He wants to
That's
run
true.
away.
That's a good movie trope also. Yeah. Underrated also a football movie where the team is terrible. Like they're not
Oh,
even they're
I
not
mean,
even good.
how many great football movies end with a team going 1-10 and like that team did?
Right. Right. There's that trope too. And then Necessary Roughness touches upon, I would say they don't really tackle it, but they touch upon the steroid era in college football for a tiny bit, not a deep commentary, but
Not like the program did. Not like the
not like
program.
the program. Yeah. Necessary Roughness just sort of glosses over it. So that's why that's my favorite movie. It hits all the tropes to it. So number 2 versus number 3 matchup, The Blind Side versus Little Giants.
That's a wild card of a game because both are excellent. Excellent.
I can't even pick this one. This one is too good. Both movies are good.
I'm going to tell you where my tiebreaker comes. Had it not been for Michael Orr coming out to say this was not the way it really went down, because I heard the rumors were that Michael Orr was not appreciative of how he was basically portrayed like a country idiot, which he was, with all respect to Michael Orr. But they and I understand it's a Disney movie because that The Blind Side was a Disney movie, but I don't think they portrayed him accurately. And if he's saying it, I tend to believe it. I think that would bother him. They basically made him look like an illiterate, and he's saying I wasn't like that, I was, I had a
so
tough
you're taking
time.
some points off for not being historically accurate. I was
Yeah,
thinking
because if you're gonna do history, and I know Joe Montana's gonna be upset because apparently Joe Montana's had a lot of my hero, and you see the poster in the back over there, the Joe Montana poster. There's some jersey behind me, which you can't see from here, but he's he's been my childhood hero. Joe Montana has been extremely critical of Rudy Rudiger's and the way he was portrayed in the movie Rudy.
Really? Oh,
Read up on that.
Hmm.
Joe Montana said it was nothing like that. Okay, it was nothing like that.
How could you besmirch the good name of Rudy?
Right, and Joe Montana's gone after him. So I think if you're going to do a historical theme, like Remember the Titans, in a way it's historical, but you really can't dispute that they're not saying that's exactly what happened. But in a way, The Blind Side is saying this is Michael Orr's story. And for Michael Orr to come out and say this is not how it went down, I'm going to give this win to the Little Giants. You got Icebox, you got Spike, Junior Floyd is the dreamy quarterback even at a young age.
Actually, if you think about it, Little Giants is just Necessary Roughness for kids.
Right.
And it's all the same tropes.
It's the same tropes, and then you go Coach O'Shea maybe banging Junior Floyd's mom. That's kind of cool too.
I gotta rewatch that movie. Yeah,
it's a great movie. I want to say Little Giants wins that one.
Okay, on to the MTV region. This one's the fun region, I gotta say. Number 1 seed Varsity Blues versus the number four seed, The Last Boy Scout. Here's why I like The Last Boy Scout, because it's just basically a really vulgar Die Hard.
Okay.
Bruce Willis is cursing at children. He's really irreverent. It's a fun movie, and it's one of those odd movies that it's a football movie that isn't really about football.
Right.
And in Varsity Blues, lots of quotable lines there. Good star power. Good for the time. It was really, really good too. Perfect 90s era MTV football movie.
I will say that Coach Kilmer may be on my short list for greatest football movie coach of all time.
Okay. Really, the greatest, huh?
I'm gonna say greatest because he is such a throwback to that whole line that he says, was it to get with Moxon that comes off smiling, keep smiling, asshole. That's
Yeah,
just,
good coach lines. I love
he's
coach
got
lines.
great little one-liners. And then the way that who was Paul Walker's character. I forget the name of the quarterback, but it was Paul Walker's character, and how much Coach Kilmer loves him. And at the very end, he says, "Hey, don't get that needle." He says, "You gonna listen to a gimp?" He's talking about quarterback.
I love it. I also like Varsity Blues because it's a mutiny. They go against the coach and they have to coach themselves by the end of it, and they pull it together like pros. So I love that aspect of it.
It's great.
I love that they're like team. They're for each other. They have the fat guy. That's the other good football movie trope.
Billy Bob,
the huge fat guy. It's Texas. They go shooting shotguns. My favorite line of the movie is is it Bud Kilmer or maybe it's Mox's dad or something? Because Mox, of course, is the backup QB who's studious, who's reading books, and he wants to go to
he's
college.
reading Vonnegut. He's reading Kurt Vonnegut on the sideline.
On the sideline, right? He's the good old boy, and he's going to college though. And the dad says, like, "Boy, what are you doing all that book learning?" And then Mox says, "I don't want your life." And you're like, "Oh yeah, hell yeah, Mox. Tell him." That's my favorite line in the movie. Varsity Blues might take this bracket. There's a lot of good stuff in that movie.
And Moxon got accepted to Columbia, was it? Was it Columbia?
I thought it was Brown. I'm gonna have to
Brown. You could be right.
I'm gonna have to research that. Varsity Blues, strong number 1 seed.
They win that one.
The number 2 versus number 3 matchup, very, very fun matchup. All the Right Moves versus The Program.
Tough.
When's the last time you saw All the Right Moves? I really like All the Right Moves.
Okay, I will, without me even looking at your bracket, I probably saw this about 3 weeks ago on HBO Max.
All the Right Moves? Did you really?
So I am fresh on this. So a little side.
All right, I'll step aside. Give me your thoughts on All the Right Moves.
This matchup was the most even matchup I thought you had. Okay, such an even, because they're both great football movies. I'm going to give it to All the Right Moves for all the wrong reasons. Okay, the bottom line is in All the Right Moves, the coach becomes Hayden Fox in the show Coach. So I'm going to say there was more football spinoff there. Give it to All the Right Moves.
I love All the Right Moves because the football part essentially ends halfway through the movie, and the story continues with Tom Cruise, Georgievich, trying to like get into school and try and better himself and trying to get out of his small little town. And then, of course, great coach casting with Craig T. Nelson. I love that they have had him walking around the practice field with a golf club.
Right. And he'd swing it. And it would swing. Yeah, it was such a coach move.
Such a coach move to be just walking around with a golf club, cursing everybody out. So, and also like that the main character isn't necessarily the quarterback.
Right.
Tom Cruise's character is a DB.
He's a DB, right?
Yeah, he's a DB,
which is great. And I love that. And how many storylines can you make with a DB? Like, had you just gone for the ball like I told you to, and it was a pass interference call that got the opposing team to the 1 yard line. They ended up making a goal line stop. They fumble it when they're trying to run it out, gain a few yards to get it out of the end zone and give themselves space to kneel. But you really can't do that with DBs, and they figured out a way to make the DB an essential part of the movie. Yeah. He obviously goes and was about to trash the coach's home, but he doesn't. And the fact that he's going to a school called Ampipe. It's such a
Ampipe.
It's such a Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania thing. And when he made him run all those laps at the end of practice and he's muddied, it's practice and he's muddied, he's beat down, he's sweaty. It's like I felt cold for him. I felt like I was getting cold, just
that's true. It's a good cold movie. It's very hard to convey cold in movies, and yet this one gets really, really close.
You're right. And so I'm going to go with All the Right Moves, but that's a great matchup.
My only nitpick with All the Right Moves is in practice, Tom Cruise goes for the guy and not the ball. And Coach Craig T. Nelson says, Georgievich, that's pass interference. You got to go for the ball. Don't go for the man. And he's like, it wasn't pass interference, coach, blah, blah, blah. And in the game, he does the exact same thing. He commits pass interference. It's not a close call. He commits pass interference. And the coach gets mad at him, as he should, because he committed the penalty. They just needed to make that scene a closer call.
Right. I think so too, because that was a clear pass interference.
Yeah. It's the only logic that doesn't add up in that movie. But extra points for the nickname of the quarterback in All the Right Moves. Do you remember his name?
I don't. Tell me the nickname.
Rifleman.
Rifleman
was the QB of All the Right Moves. What a great QB name.
Great trivia there.
So that is the football movie bracket that we're going to update as the NFL playoffs go along. Okay. First week, we'll go along with the wild card playoffs this week. So we'll see who moves on. I thought of 2 more football movies I left off the bracket. Tell me if you think they belong on the bracket. Black Sunday.
Oh, good. That was a good movie, but it was more political, I think, but it's a good football movie.
A good football, non-football movie. And then Best of Times. Did you ever see Best of Times with Robin Williams?
I did. And I'm going to give you another football movie. And let me look up the name. And it was the one, and I was surprised you left it off. And I remember seeing it as a kid, and I really liked it a lot, with Warren Beatty.
Yes.
It was
that movie.
It was a 7. I'm pretty sure it was from the
70s. It was Heaven Can't Wait.
That should have been on your bracket too.
Forgot about Heaven Can't Wait.
Great football movie where he dies in an accident, but he comes as an old man, and we can see him as Warren Beatty, but the rest of the world sees him as an old, rich white guy. But he makes it back to was it the Rams? He was playing for the Rams?
I think it was the Rams, yeah.
Yeah, great movie.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, I forgot to say the program is playing All the Right Moves from that final matchup. So the program versus All the Right Moves is that final matchup. So I'm interested to see what people say. Those are some tough calls. So if people are going to cast their votes, you can write it in my comments, YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff. And I'm going to tally it up. And you can make your voting protocol whatever you want. I'm just saying that's my protocol is critics, star power, quotable lines, and just how I feel emotionally at the time.
I like it.
All right. Here are the questions for this week. We already talked about if the right teams made the playoffs. Question number 1, I got 3 of them. What is the best first round matchup in the playoffs?
Ooh, I'm going to say it's going to be the most intriguing to me is the Browns Steelers, only because we're talking about the old AFC Central from back in the day. And now they end up playing now members of the AFC North, and they're playing in the first round. And these are bitter rivals. I want to say the Browns Steelers got to get that.
Browns at Steelers. I'm going Baltimore at Tennessee. I think that's a fun matchup.
Could be. Revenge
game.
That's a revenge game for Lamar Jackson.
Okay. Question number 2. Who blew it today? For me, it's obvious Dallas. Dallas blew it.
Yeah, I don't think you can argue against Dallas. I think that knowing that Josh Allen wasn't going to play the whole game, that we were probably going to see Barkley at some point for the Buffalo Bills, I think to throw up that kind of stinker, the Dolphins just, you got to be better than that. You got to get ready to play. I don't care who your quarterback is, but you can't allow 56 points in a must-win game.
That was 90s Buffalo Bills running up the score. 56
that really
points.
Really was.
Yeah. All right, last question. Give me your Super Bowl prediction right now. This can be a logical prediction. It can be your dream prediction.
Okay.
Right now.
I am going to say my Super Bowl prediction is going to be the Buffalo Bills beating the the reigning champs, Kansas City Chiefs, in the AFC Championship game against Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa Bay.
I was gonna say we have a shot at a home team Super Bowl this year.
We have a shot. Tampa over Buffalo in the Super Bowl.
My dream, because I said it before, my dream Super Bowl is Alex Smith against his former team, Kansas City. That's my dream Super Bowl. Logically, though, I'm gonna go Seattle versus Kansas City.
Wow.
I think the Packers blow it again. I think they blow it.
Should they resurrect the old Kingdom in Seattle and play this game on the old Seattle turf? That would be that would be awesome.
Definitely. We get Brian Bosworth in there. We get Steve Craig.
We got Dave Craig.
Who was Zorn? Somebody's last name was Zorn.
Jim Zorn was a quarterback.
Jim Zorn. We get Jim Zorn,
who eventually gave the job over to, and we get we bring back God rest his soul, Derek Thomas. We got Steve DeBerg.
Steve DeBerg.
Let's do an old AFC West game.
Old school. Yeah, we were talking old quarterbacks earlier. Let's just keep it going. Here are the awards for this final week in the NFL. Since I called it graduation day in the NFL, these are graduation themed awards. And I have 4 awards. Number 1 award, voted most likely to lose in the first round of the playoffs, the Chicago Bears.
Oh, I can't argue against that. Who do the Colts play? Who do you? What's the Colts?
Buffalo?
They're gonna lose. They're gonna get their ass kicked. The Colts are gonna lose.
Voted most likely to lose in the first round of the playoffs. You going Colts, huh?
I'm going Colts.
Okay. Award number 2.
They have no shot.
No shot. Number 2 award in my graduation themed awards is the "You got into what college" award. Goes to the LA Rams. I can't believe they're still competitive and in the playoffs.
I'm going to go with a non-playoff team. I'm going to go with the Jets. I can't believe that any of those guys went to college, given the fact that you had the inside track on the number 1 draft pick in the 2021 NFL draft, and you went on ahead and got a couple wins to to end that chance. And basically,
that's a good pick.
You basically gave the Jacksonville Jaguars their shot at Trevor Lawrence. So I can't believe any of the Jets went to college.
If the NFL was a high school and the Jets were a student, are the Jets graduating? Are they graduating with summer school?
They're not. They're. I would like to see a game between the winner of Ohio State and Alabama play the Jets, because I think that we could
I would love to see the best college team play the worst NFL team at the end of the season every season.
Right.
Maybe that could determine the first pick in the draft, sort of things. Like, you beat the college team, you get it. You don't get it.
What I think you should do is, if Alabama wins, then you get to play those, you get to pay those players, and it's legal at that point.
I like that.
Pay them. I mean, they're better. I mean, you can't argue again. They deserve a paycheck if they beat the worst NFL team. So
I could go with that idea.
Yeah, that'll give the Crimson Tide every reason to try real hard. But
and the Jets have to deliver that paycheck. The players have to give them the envelope.
Right. But not Geno Smith with that year that he got punched in the face by his own linebacker because he owed like $800 or something like that.
I say, if the Jets were a student in high school, they're graduating, but they're not getting the diploma because they have to do summer school and even community service, because they were a discipline problem all year long.
I'm with you.
Award number 3. This is the "I signed your yearbook, it's been real" award. And I'm giving that to the Detroit Lions. It's been real. They're just going to gut the team and forget this ever happened. It's been real, Detroit Lions.
It's been real. And again, we've talked about this. Teams like the Falcons, teams like the Lions, they have Stafford, Matt Ryan. It's time to make some really tough decisions on, it's time for a mutual break. I would like to see those veteran quarterbacks go to places like Denver, and mentor, the next guy that comes up. Go to a place like the Jets and mentor the next guy that comes up. They're really going to need that.
Along with "It's Been Real," also "Never Change" might be the most written yearbook quote in the history of quotes in the yearbook. It's been real and don't never change.
Right.
Two more awards. Got drunk in the parking lot of graduation award goes to Carson Wentz. I think he's been over this season 4 weeks ago. And he's like, when's graduation? All right. You guys want to take a couple pops in the parking lot before we walk? Fuck it. Why not, man? It's graduation day.
It's safe to say Carson Wentz has played his last game for the Philadelphia Eagles. The rumor is that maybe he'll sign on with the Colts, given his attachment or his relationship with Frank Wright there, and obviously an aging quarterback and Phillip Rivers. But I could see that too. He's got to move on.
Drunk in the parking lot award, because everybody had that one student in high school that was pretty much checked out by Valentine's Day senior year. And then somehow they're still graduating.
I'm going to say Adam Gase is also drunk in the parking lot, because he's the one that's saying, I coached Peyton Manning during his record, when he was old and, busted all those records in Denver. But another guy that has to just go away, finish that last beer and go away.
Here's my final award. This one's called the "Oh Shit" award. I don't know if you caught the end of the Tennessee-Indianapolis game. No, Tennessee-Houston game. And Tennessee is going to kick the game-winning field goal, and they kick it, and it hits off the upright, but still goes in.
God.
And they show Derrick Henry on the side, and he's watching the kick, and he's going,
"Oh shit.
Oh shit. Oh shit." I love watching players curse. I love when they say, "Oh shit." I love when they say "fuck," and the audio isn't there. So the "Oh shit" award goes to Derrick Henry today.
It does.
The playoffs are set. The movie bracket playoffs are set. Omar Carmona, thanks for joining me on a Sunday night. On to the playoffs, man.
On to the playoffs. We'll see you next week.
See you next week. Bye. Okay, that is it for the show. Week 17, the Sunday Night Talk. Hey, how about that football movie bracket? Get in there. Go vote. Go check it out. Go tell me your favorite lines from those football movies. And did I leave any football movies out? I'm already thinking of some in my head. I think we got a solid bracket, though. How about these playoffs? This Saturday, they kick off. Matchups upon matchups. I really got to do some thinking. I thought about it, and yes, I will watch them. Thank you for listening, everybody. Thank you, Omar Carmona, for joining me once again from his man cave and lending me his thoughts and my rants as usual. Don't forget, everybody, check out Running It Back. That is my interview show on this very YouTube channel. 2 times the me. Go check it out. It comes up this week. I have one in the works. Hasn't been recorded yet, but it's going to happen tomorrow as you hear this. So be on the lookout. It's going to be great. Thank you for listening. The Sunday Night Talk. See you next week. Playoffs, baby.